Now, so the stone's been delayed, and Hurricane Ivan, or whatever his name is here. It stopped raining for a few minutes. I'm trying to get some insulation downstairs. So I'm actually just gonna start on the basement. The whole reason, we built the garage was to get a lot of that stuff out of the upper garage and out of the basement. So I'm gonna start in here. My kids have already started to get too comfortable. They moved a bunch of their crap down, Lego tables and everything else. But what I'm going to do right now is get rid of this old insulation. I don't even know what R value it is or anything, but basically I got 1.5 inch rigid. I'm going to put on this whole wall, and really the grade is probably up there by the pipe. I think everything else is below ground. But anyhow, I think I'm going to do. I think I'm just gonna do half sheets going across the top. I might switch over to full sheets coming down here, but basically I'm just gonna take this down first, and then and slide the rigid up behind it and glue it together and tape it all up. Hopefully I don't find any hidden holes or issues. That's another reason why I want to do it. Had a couple, I don't know, insects and stuff around here, so I'm thinking there might be a hole that's not filled. So check back here in a second. So this part's really self-explanatory. Just cutting the battens into manageable sections and rolling them up slow so I didn't get insulation and dust everywhere. Plus, I had tons of little mice turds and dead insects and just 30 years of grossness that was trapped in behind those battens. And once I got the bulk of the material out, I just went back with the vacuum and then took the Wonder Bar and the hammer to remove all the concrete nails and little washers they used to pin the insulation back. But for the most part, a couple stubborn ones, and the rest of them came out easy with no damage to the blocks. So this part's really self-explanatory. Just cutting the battens into manageable sections and rolling them up slow so I didn't get insulation and dust everywhere. Plus, I had tons of little mice turds and dead insects and just 30 years of grossness that they just had the termite trapped in behind those battens.
You could reach down into the blocks.
And once I got the bulk of the material out, I
coming
just
in.
went back with the vacuum and then took the Wonder Bar and the hammer to remove all the concrete nails and little washers they used to pin the insulation back.
And then
But for the most part, a couple stubborn ones,
years back,
and the rest of them came out easy
I went and
with no
put in
damage to the blocks.
this 2-inch insulation around the entire rim joist and then sealed it all. So I took out all that old insulation. I mean, it was just nasty up there, but I did that around the whole perimeter and really cut down on the amount of bugs. Like, we really don't have a lot of insects in here until the kids leave the door open overnight. But I just found like 3 or 4 dead mice that have probably been in there for years. I mean, they were like petrified, and we haven't had a mouse problem since we first moved in. So anyhow, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna pull all these nails off so I can get a nice and flush up against there with the concrete. But yes, they're all held off 1.5 inches, so the 1.5 inch foam will go in there. When I end up framing this out, I'll put a small bulkhead in over here, and then I got a bulkhead. This is the whole basement. The design was god awful when they did it. So I'm gonna have to move all these kids' toys out of the way because there were so many like mouse turds that came out of there. So anyhow, all right, when we come back, I will hopefully have 4 feet across the top, all tucked up in here nice and neat. I forgot to turn on the camera. So I got the first one in. Basically, you just got to cut around this stuff. That piece up there might be a little tricky. I'll have to put some smaller pieces in there and then tape it up. So anyhow, for this one, basically I just held it, right up against those studs, and then, marked them, measured them down. They're about 18.5 inches down. So I'm going to put glue on the back side of it and then squeeze it up in there pretty tight. Let's see. So this is just a Loctite PL300, and it's safe for, actually it's designed for foam board. Just put vertical streaks. Any moisture gets in there, it can run down, it'll get trapped. It's gonna be kind of tight. I hope I don't get this stuff all over the wall down below, but
glued up there. And, it's got a bunch of pressure from that pipe anyhow, so it is a snug fit. There we go. Once it's up there, it sticks pretty good. Smeared on the wall, but other than that, not too bad. Okay. And then keep on chugging along. So anyhow, this stuff's way better. I don't have any critters caught up in there. I'll keep on going around this side here. Deal with the rest of the mouse turds that are probably trapped up in behind this one. But again, I'm gonna frame out this wall. So this will actually, I'll be behind studs and I'll put in like R13 or whatever I'm supposed to put in the walls. So that's about it. I'll do some time lapse on this and show you the finished product there. I clearly underestimated the cluster F that this was going to be, trying to cut in around all these pipes. It was a little bit harder than I thought. I have to cut all these things up in here, and a couple pieces broke, and where I didn't want them to, but I basically got all this sealed up for now. It's like a Frankenstein piece of a board right there. But anyhow, I went back to Home Depot to get more glue, and of course they're out. Like nobody 50 miles has got any more of this board. So I actually just went up to a 2-inch board. I got a bunch of 2-inch. I'm gonna tear all this stuff down and go all the way down the all the way down this back wall. And I think that board's actually R13, which is code, but I'll end up putting a 2x4 wall in front of it with another layer of insulation. It'll be over insulated, but I don't know when I'm going to frame it out, and I don't want all this loose insulation hanging down here while these kids are playing. So tear all this out and get the new stuff up. Well, it ended up being a lot bigger challenge than I thought it would be, but I got all the old stuff down, all the new stuff up. The grade of the outside kind of goes down like that. Actually, it's up about that high, so I just put one board down the bottom. They ran out, of course, so I ended up getting this 2-inch, which is nice because it's R13, so I guess in theory I don't even have to insulate that in between the studs, but I probably will when I frame it out. So anyhow, got all that old stuff torn down. Again, it was nasty, just like mice turds and old acorns and just random stuff, and was able to get all this insulated as well. They did a pretty crappy job when they did this. This is only a 7-foot ceiling. So anyhow, all the loose stuff's out. It's all piled out here. I guess I'll probably try to load it up after sometime this afternoon in the trailer. I don't think it's supposed to rain for a couple days. So anyhow, if you're going to use this this foam board, it's really easy to work with. Just make sure you use a long, like 6-inch serrated insulation knife, and it cuts really easy. And I actually used construction adhesive on the back side of this stuff because it's layered on both sides, or it's faced on both sides. On that pink stuff, you have to use the that PL300, the stuff that's designed for the foam itself. So anyhow, I recommend pulling out any of that old batten insulation you might have in your house that was built in the 80s and replacing it with this stuff. A lot nicer, hopefully be better air quality in here too. So see you on the next one.